setting the table for the children. So, what a treat. We're going to spend the next hour having a conversation. And I have to tell you, I think it's going to be great fun. And I think that we will all end with a sense of, what was it that Karen just said about her? The Karen's Award is given to someone who has unbridled and optimistic pursuit of the possibility. And I think that our speakers today epitomize that unbridled, optimistic pursuit. So we're going to, I'm going to do a little introduction, as if either gentleman needs an introduction, but I did want to introduce our the patron saint of Smart Start, Governor Jim Hunt, who, as you all know,
I remember you, Governor.
Thank you very much.
Now, you all know that the governor was governor from 1977 to 1985, and then again from 1993 to 2001. But I have to tell you, and I think I probably speak for everybody in this room, you will forever be my governor. Those of us who travel around the country know that Governor Hunt is so well respected everywhere for the hard work that he's done and the way he literally changed the face of our state. That it was historic. Under his leadership, North Carolina public schools improved test scores more than any other state in the 1990s. And the Rand Corporation researched that for you, and they're not particularly don't usually say really good things about you and us and the battles that we work on. In 1999, Governor Hunt called for the state to be first in America in 2010. And to further that mission, he chairs all sorts of organizations, including the Hunt Institute for Educational Leadership and Policy. And it is part of the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And it was established in 2001 to work with emerging political, business, and education leaders in the national level to improve public education. But we also know that he focused on early childhood development and the improvement of quality teaching. His Smart Start program, our Smart Start program, received the prestigious Innovations in American Government Award from the Ford Foundation and the John F. Kennedy School of Government in Harvard University. He's co-chaired, in 1985, co-chaired the Committee of 50 at the Carnegie Foundation, and was influential in working with the National Board for Professional Teaching Standards so that we have board-certified teachers, and the most board-certified teachers in North Carolina than in any other state. So clearly the governor has been committed his life, his energy, and his heart on behalf of children and the future of North Carolina, and we're delighted to have him share some insights with us. But equally wonderful, we have Dave Lawrence here. Now, Dave Lawrence retired in 1999 as the publisher of the Miami Herald. And when he retired, he thought he'd do something, relaxing. So he led the he started to work on early childhood development and readiness. Mm-hmm. And he is the president of the Early Childhood Initiative Foundation and the University Scholar for Early Childhood Development and Readiness at the University of Florida. Mm-hmm. He leads the children's movement of Florida, building an enduring, sustaining movement to make all children in that the state's #1 priority in their investment in money, time, energy, and also to be the reason and the way we make decisions. David is a member of the Governor's Children's Cabinet and twice chaired the Florida Partnership for School Readiness. Now, in 2002, he led the campaign for the Children's Trust, A dedicated source, a dedicated funding stream for early intervention and prevention funding in Miami-Dade County. And when they went to the people, they got an 85% affirmation. In 2008, they went twice with ballot initiatives. 85% of the people said, yes, we are going to put our money where our mouth is. And he serves on boards with the Foundation for Child Development in New York and the Frank Porter Graham Child Development Institute here in North Carolina. Has chaired a governor's blue ribbon panel on child protection. So what we have is with us are two amazing men who've made it their life and their passion to work on behalf of young children. Now, what we thought we'd do first is show you a short video that comes from the children's movement. You know, we've talked about this movement, our effort in North Carolina and in the other states who are here with us as a movement. And this video, I think, will give you a sense of what David's been doing, and it will feel very familiar to all of you. Can we proceed with the video, please?
Did you know Florida is the fourth largest state? With 18 million of us. Florida was discovered in 1513 by Ponce de Leon. Actually, he was looking for the Fountain of Youth. He was cool. I think he was kind of tall. Maybe short. He had a hat with a big feather. He came in a boat. It was pretty big. He came all the way from Spain. That's further away than Disney World. Ponce decided to call the place La Florida for the Festival of Flowers. When he got here, he saw flowers everywhere. Pink ones, blue ones, yellow ones, really big ones with curly tips. It's not just flowers, but a whole lot of things grow here in Florida. Like oranges, tons of oranges. We grow more oranges than anyone. We grow strawberries, and grapefruit, and palm trees, and cows. The most important thing that would grow in Florida is us, your children. Over 200,000 children are born in Florida every year. We are the fountain of youth Ponce was looking for. We are the future. When I grow up, I want to be a farmer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an explorer. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher or a rock star. I want to be a violinist. I want to be an accountant. I definitely want to be a comedian. Spaghetti sauce. I want to fix teeth. I want to drive a truck. I want to be an actress. A chef and a farmer. Computer genius. I want to fix anything that is broken. When I grow up, I want to be the leader of Florida. I want to be your senator. I want to be your president. But there is a problem, a big problem. A third of us just aren't ready to even enter kindergarten. 30% of us third graders have trouble reading or can't read at all. Worse than that, 61% of us 10th graders can't read very well, and some of us can't really read at all. Hundreds of thousands of us have no health insurance. You spend more than $20,000 to keep me in jail, while you only spend a third of that to keep me in school. You spend $6 billion on transportation, roads, and highways. More than $2 billion on corrections and prisons. $600 million on juvenile justice programs. Sadly, only 3% of Florida's budget is spent on programs for us, your children. But studies prove, with real investments in learning programs, especially in the early childhood years, Florida will have fewer dropouts. More jobs. Less crime. This is so important we started a movement, the Children's Movement of Florida. It's a way to get everybody moving in the right direction. I'm counting on you. As your child, your grandchild. future. Invest in me. Invest in me. Invest in me. And me. And me. Invest in me. I'm worth every penny.
Every penny.
That's good.
What a wonderful film. Thank you for sharing with us. It's wonderful. So, it's a movement. It's not a program, it's not a project, it's not an initiative, it's not an innovation, it's a movement. So I'm going to sort of throw this out to both of you, but would love you to talk to each other as well. You know, what does it take? What does it take to create a movement? David, why don't you start?
I want to start by saying this. I was editor of the Charlotte Observer a long time ago. Back when newspapers were newspapers, you remember those days. And Jim Hunt became governor when I was editor of the Charlotte Observer. And the two best governors I've ever known in America are a man named Reuben Askew of Florida, who Governor Hunt would know well, and Governor Hunt. My God, you are a blessed people to have Governor Hunt. So what's a movement? I argued that the civil rights movement wasn't about minorities and black people. It was about an American sense of equity for all people. And the women's movement wasn't about women, only women. It was about an American sense of equity for all people. A movement is about all people. And what is being born in this country, and Smart Start is a stunningly good example of it, is a movement for all children, particularly and especially in the early childhood years. Because if you ever got them right, you by and large would have everything else right. What I think classically happens among very good people, for understandable reasons, is that people focus on disadvantaged children and disadvantaged families and at-risk children and at-risk families, and do they need more help and support? Yes, they do. But in people's heads frequently, they think of them as those children and those people. And that's terribly perilous. The same blend of health and education and nurturing and love that helped my 5 children and now my grandchildren to succeed in school and in life are exactly the principles of all children. We passed in Florida a constitutional amendment for pre-kindergarten for 4-year-olds. Now, we're not a famous education state. Y'all are beginning to be a famous education state. In fact, you're sort of moving down the road. We're not a famous education state. Proportionate to the wealth and size of the population, Florida is the least funded public education state in the United States of America. Yet the people of Florida passed a constitutional amendment so that the parents of every 4-year-old would have the right to a pre-kindergarten experience, passed it with 59% of the vote, and there are now 166,000 4-year-olds in that program. If we had argued, let's help those children over here, as tempting as that might have been, it would have failed dramatically. I argue that what we're trying to do is so fully American that every child have an honorable chance to thrive in this world, and that the very future of a community and a country we love is absolutely dependent on Smart Start and all the things we're doing being about everyone's child.
So it's all children.
All children.
Governor?
I like what David had to say, and we're proud to have you back in North Carolina, David. In fact, we'd make you editor of several newspapers around here if you'd come back. Let me refresh for everybody, and I'm thrilled to see all of you here. I wish I could go out and speak to all of you personally. I did several of you at the beginning. And let me begin, before I make these remarks, by saying this to you. North Carolina has a wonderful Smart Start program that we are going to continue strong. Because of you. Every one of you. I'm not talking about somebody else out here. I'm talking about every single one of you. You're the reason we've done what we've done. So far to go, yes. But I want you to feel that inside of your head and your heart that you're responsible. And you're the reason we made the progress and the nice things that David Lawrence said. But I also want to say how proud I am and how fortunate we are to have the leadership of Dr. Olson Huff, one of the great, wise, caring physicians in North Carolina, is the chairman of our partnership board, and Stephanie Fanjul, a great leader, as the president of Smart Start in North Carolina. And I want to lead the applause for them. And to have had the marvelous leadership over the years of Ashley Thrift and Karen Ponder and all of you who've been involved for so long. Thank you for what you've done. Let me tell you, when we started all of this, and by the way, I wanted to start off by saying I wanted to tell you sort of how this came about. I served 2 years as governor. We did a lot of good things, starting in the mid-'70s, going through the mid-'80s. I went out as governor, and while we'd done a lot of good things, I looked around and I said, why haven't we done more? We've made some progress, but we haven't done nearly what we ought to do and could do. And I discovered when I started reading a lot of science about children and brain development and everything else, I found out this: we were starting too late. It was too late, even when they came to kindergarten, something that I'd worked with many of you in putting in place in North Carolina. We were starting too late. So we put in Smart Start, so that we would start at the beginning of life and focus on helping all of our children in various ways that they needed help. So I would say that yes, it is a movement, and it's a movement that is aware of what the reality is in terms of how human beings become the best they can be. We discovered, you and I, all of North Carolina, that you can't wait too late. You got to start early. We've got to try to help all children. We've got to get very good at different things, and we have to build those marvelous partnerships that you're building. In the recent weeks, I've been talking to a lot of you, getting ready to talk to some of your legislators, and I hope you'll remember to talk to them again this weekend. But in talking to you, you've told me so many more of the great things you've done, partnerships you've built, things that have happened, what's happening to your children. And so it is a movement. It's based on how we feel about children and the fact that we know that America will not become the great country we want to be. We're proud that we made some progress against terror this week, and I'm so thankful that we did. But what's more important than that, folks, is to make every child in this country what they can be. And that's what Smart Start's about, and that's what this movement is about.
So I think we're all with you on the movement part, and the idea of all children is actually very critical. We know from some of our other states that have worked on initiatives or like this, that sometimes they get sort of lost when they're not focusing on all children. But you talked about the legislators, Governor. Somebody came to me the other day and said, I don't understand. They're voting against Smart Start. Don't they like little children? I mean, when did this turn into such a hot political issue? How did we get this divided?
Well, I'll give you my own sense of the person that reads a lot of history. This is an angry time in this country. I really hate it being an angry time in this country. If you read about the Depression, the Great Depression, you read about haters, lots of haters. Father Coughlin, Gerald L.K. Smith, don't know the names, look them up. Sad and painful times. Aided and abetted today, to be honest about it, by the 24-hour media.
That's right.
Where you can make a lot of money, frankly, by crapping on other human beings. And it's very destructive of the republic in many ways, and I care as much about free flow of information in a republic as anyone. But I'm going to tell you a little story that Karen wanted and Governor Hunt wanted me to tell anyway. I came to Miami in 1989 from Detroit, so I was sort of frying pan to frying pan.
That's for sure.
And I live in the single most stressful and interesting place in the United States of America. If you talk about the leading edge of pluralism, come to Miami-Dade County, where people like me, non-Hispanic white, are 15% of the population, and less than 15% of the 34,000 babies born every year. So our opportunity is to show how do you make it in the future of America, because what Miami is, the country is moving toward. In 1988, a woman who was the state attorney, anybody guess who the name was? Janet Reno, led a campaign to pass a dedicated funding source for children. Now, I know Janet Reno quite well, and I suspect the governor knows her quite well. A truly distinguished, honorable American, cares about all the right values. She essentially argued, we got to help the children over here and over here and over here. You can guess what sorts of children she was talking about. It failed 2-1. Essentially, the argument is, we're on the side of the angels, we're good people, we want to help other people, please pass this. It failed 2-1. In 2000, we started trying to see, could we pass something like this? I don't live in an easy county. We have a $7.5 billion county budget, and we pay county commissioners $6,000 to watch over it. Now, nothing you've read and learned in school in political science would say, boy, this is a really smart move. And it's been on the ballot 9 times, and to raise it to the state formula, which is about 92,000, been defeated every time. So it's a tough place in some ways. It's also an optimistic place in other ways. We made a very different argument. We said it's about all children. Yes, some children need more, but it's about all children. And worked for 2 years and raised a bunch of money, because it's a political campaign. So the same kind of money that the governor used in his campaigns, that is PAC money, non-tax deductible money, we had to do. Raised a pack of money, put a 5-year sunset on it, said try it for 5 years, if you don't like it, dump it. It's a $500,000 property tax. A $500,000 property tax in Miami-Dade County, minus homestead exemption to the median average, the median assessed homeowner, is a little less than $1 a week. But it aggregates, this year, $109 million extra dollars. Administered by an independent board. Not part of the county commission, not part of state government, not part of the school board, etc. We ran a political campaign. And we passed it 2-1. And then in 2008, because the sunset was up, we had to pass it again, or it was dead. And I raised twice as much money this time. We called it the Children's Trust. Trust being, I think, a principal issue in Miami-Dade, in North Carolina, in Florida, and in America. And the second time, we have 764 precincts in Miami-Dade County. In all but one of those precincts, people passed it. $100 million every year, more than $1 billion every 10 years, extra for early intervention and prevention, for things that you know so much about, higher quality child care, nurses and social workers in public schools, after-school care, etc. That's what the people of a community can do if you talk about all children. That's the power of thinking about a movement and everyone's child. That's what Smart Start is about to me. It's about all the children of North Carolina.
And the independent board administers all of this?
And the
David, tell us about it.
independent board, it's a 33-member board. And it includes, I was the United Way representative. But other folks were there was somebody from the teachers union, somebody from the PTA, somebody who was a county commissioner, the mayor, a pediatrician, a diverse set of folks who figured out how do we want to spend the money, and essentially it was half is going to be spent in the early childhood years, where the power, the return is the greatest, and half would be spent in other years. It's just, what makes it work is, frankly, it's about all children, and it's independent. It's not perceived, because here's what, if you all ever consider doing this in North Carolina, you need to make sure that what happens doesn't happen like the lottery in Florida, which is they promised the people will put all the money in education. Well, they did, and then the legislature appropriated less money. So the money needs to be supplemental, needs to be extra, rather than simply supplanting money, or you will have done nothing real for the people of the community.
Have any other counties in Florida done this?
There are 8 counties. History would tell you that in 1946, right after the Second War, the county of Pinellas, which is St. Petersburg, decided to do this on their own and did it for many years. In the early 80s, the legislature said, well, any county wants to do it. You can do it. You can pass a half mill or a mill property tax. And so there are now 8 counties, including 5 of the biggest ones: Broward, Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, which is Tampa, and Miami, and Miami-Dade, and Pinellas, rather. So the fact of the matter is the 8 counties that do it make up about 2/3 of all the children. So it has a huge impact on, when you aggregate it, it's an extra $400 million a year, more than $400 million a year invested in early intervention and prevention in the state of Florida.
As we're talking here and listening here, excuse me, I hope we'll get some ideas about what we can do in North Carolina. I want you to be thinking about your county.